Decided last week I wanted to talk about Nibiru, but I had no idea the news that was going to come out. I mean, I didn't even know what shocking and just earth-shattering, groundbreaking news. I'm excited to tell you all about it because scoffers be damned, an insider at the European Space Agency came out and spilled the beans. That's right. There is a planet that most likely has life. And guess what? It's like our neighbor. It's like across the street. It's like not even that far away. And they said that was impossible. All those people that come on there and they say, oh, no, Nibiru's not real, even though there's a mountain of evidence that proves that there is something going on outside. Today, we're going to talk about that. I have just so much evidence that is going to point all of you into this, I don't know, understanding that change is coming. And I want to start the episode by telling you this is not something to be scared of. This is not something that you should be worried about because it's going to happen regardless, but we need to educate ourselves to it, okay? No planet is going to crash into us. That's not going to happen. But there is something that is heading our way, and today you are going to find out that all the people that said you're nuts, well, now there's proof you're not. So it turns out, right, over 90% of the solar systems out there, they're binary systems, which means a majority of these solar systems, like the one that we are in, every star, every sun has a companion. Has like a twin. Some have like 3, 4, 5, and 6. Over 90% of them, right? Now, this is not something that hasn't been, talked about. Nemesis, all you have to do is, go back and watch the video I did on this. Nemesis it has been theorized and most likely exists. It is our gigantic red dwarf sun that is our companion. Now, we don't have absolute proof that it is there, but, the evidence points towards that. A lot of people will say that, no, NASA said that it doesn't exist, and they've never come out and they've never talked about this, and, there's really no evidence. Well, guess what? It's not really true, because NASA back in the day, they actually, they came out and said that there was something going on, and they said that they were going to send one after the other out there to check it out. They know something's happening. But they're not the only ones. Even the Vatican, they muscled their way into a university. That's their big telescope, the infrared telescope called Lucifer. So they have this great telescope. Now, why is it an infrared telescope? Okay, well, a lot of people like to comment, and they like to say, well, if something's that big out there, well, we could see it, right? Well, guess what? It turns out that it is, it's like just surrounded in this like iron oxide cloud. It doesn't really reflect and give off a lot of heat. So you need this, these high-tech telescopes, which is the reason that, well, we spent how much money to place one right there in Antarctica? Why would they do this? Well, guess what? Because this affects everyone on planet Earth, and knowledge is power, and they've been hiding it from us. There was an article back in 1983 in the Washington Post that featured Nibiru, so it's not like this hasn't been around. Take a look. Why in Antarctica? Because that's where you can see it. You can't see this anywhere else but the southern hemisphere. So for the people that like to come on there and say, oh, well, I see it in the sky, and I live in Jersey, and I can't see it right now. That's because we're not in the southern hemisphere, and also we don't have the right equipment. But guess what? Those that are in power do, and they're keeping their eye on it because they know it's coming. Which is why we had Jade Helm, which is why, Russia has, I can't tell you, they took all of their Cold War nuclear weapons and they're outfitting them and pointing them up at the sky. Why? Because they're worried about the asteroids that are going to be coming in. NASA, a couple of years ago began its NASA, the asteroid redirection mission, which just recently they're asking for partners. Everything is revving up. Why are they doing that? Because when this system moves into our system, it is going to perturb a lot of the comets and the asteroids, and they're going to send, it's like going to shoot a lot our way, which is probably already happening, which is why we're seeing an increase in fireballs. I'm not the only one that's talked about this, and I know I'm not an astronomer, but there are famous astronomers that have. Back in 1940, the Chilean astronomer Carlos Muniz Ferrada. He just came out and he not only said that this intruder was coming, he also said it was going to be disastrous. Now, other people, they haven't said it's going to be that disastrous, so I don't want to scare you. I don't like fear. Fear, it's not real. It shouldn't motivate you. We should be prepared, but not thinking the worst, because we really don't know what's going to come of it. But Carlos Ferrada, he said that there was a massive cover-up. He said there would be. He said that all of the agencies would work together to kind of keep it quiet so that nobody would find out about this. Because if they found out, guess what? People would start acting crazy, right? Even though we should give people more credit than that. The truth sets a person free. It doesn't make them nuts. But he said that there was this huge comet-like planet, right? He called it Hercopolis, I believe. I don't know how to pronounce the name. The bottom line is, it's Nibiru. It's another name for Nibiru. And it was in this huge, elliptical orbit. Didn't orbit the way our planets orbit, and on this huge cycle. Now, you probably are familiar with Sitchin's books, right? Where he said that there's a 3,600-year orbit, like a comet, okay? Well, he may be right, he may be wrong. It doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, from the Sumerian tablets to, the astronomer, to all of the evidence pointing our way, to Dr. Robert Harrington. Harrington was actually interviewed by the man himself. And he called this planet, he called it an intruder. And, this is not like some Joe Schmo pointing a camera his way talking on YouTube. That's me. This is the real deal. This guy said it very clearly. Take a look.
Of a celestial body which you, I think, named in that paper an intruder. Yes. Which may have collided with or somehow turned on their side both Uranus and Pluto.
And it did a lot more than that, as a matter of fact. In that paper, we hypothesized that this intruder passed very close to Neptune, that it dislodged one of what we didn't think were many satellites of Neptune. One of them became the planet Pluto. We actually think Pluto was an escaped satellite of Neptune. This will also take the orbit of Triton, the big satellite of Neptune, and reverse it. We'll take the orbit of the satellite Nereid and extend it outwards. We can produce all of the observed aspects of the satellite system of Neptune plus Pluto's orbit just with this one single intruding planet. One of the things we did in 1978, having made this prediction that there was an additional planet, 10th or 12th, depending on your point of view, but it's the next one, we sort of put our money where our mouth was, as it were. We went out and we started looking for this thing. And we've been searching for 12 years for this thing. We've been able to refine the search area somewhat, get it rather narrowed down. We do our predictions based on the observed anomalies in Uranus and Neptune. We actually are currently looking down in the region of Centaurus, which is just south of the constellation Libra, but very close to the area that you've talked about. But if it is in the kind of orbit that we describe here, it would have to be a planet that would have a mass something like 3 to 5 times the mass of the Earth. This would put it intermediate between the gaseous planets like Uranus and Neptune and the terrestrial planets that we have in the inner part of the solar system. So if this planet turns out to be in a 3,600-year orbit, then its mass would be correspondingly larger.
Is that they've noticed these unexplained deviations in Uranus and Neptune, right? And that points to a large outer system body that is moving towards us. Something like 4 to 8 times the size of Earth, right? Probably bigger. But here's the cool thing, right? Just recently, just this week, I don't know if you heard about Nibiru. Rebellious planet that they found out of the blue, right? This thing is like real close, and it's not orbiting, you know, in a prograde motion or a retrograde motion. It's orbiting opposite. So while these are, you know, our planets are going this way, it's coming this way. They don't really understand that. Now, how can that be? Because a comet kind of travels like that. And this is the interesting thing. Just like Nibiru, it has this tilted kind of orbit where it's kind of going up as well. Isn't that something that right now we're hearing of another planet that is right near where Nibiru is supposed to be? Dr. Harrington said right there in Centaurus, and guess where this planet is? The one that they're talking about right now, Proxima Centauri. Researcher John Moore's sources inside the military has said that there was a secret meeting that took place in New Orleans back in 1979, where they said, look, this thing is going to happen, and it's going to happen in our lifetime. I think the time is about here, if you ask me, because, I mean, it seems like everyone is working very, very quickly now, you know? Everything's in place. You know, we got the government's ready for martial law. All those underground bunkers and facilities are ready to go for the elite. I know, we're going to be left out, but let's just trust that it's all going to work out, because we really don't know what's in store. Not to mention, you know, we have NASA, we have Russia, and we have all governments around the world working together on this one thing. How are we going to keep the meteors and the asteroids and the comets from hitting us, right? That's the big news today, okay? Except for the fact that little by little, they're releasing information about this. Little by little, the truth is coming out. We just heard about that Earth-like planet, right? That can have life, huh? Just like Nibiru. Who's to say the Anunnaki are not coming back? All that mining of gold. I mean, my goodness, how many thousands of years have we been working hard to get gold? Because it's like we were all convinced that it was, you know, just so precious. And who's to say, that there wasn't a big plan? Who's to say that these ancient religious texts aren't probably true? Who's to say that we aren't genetically altered? Who's to say? Not me. I mean, the evidence is there. You see many different Cro-Magnon man to, Homo sapiens. I mean, there is like these leaps that take place historically. Who's to say? Who's to say that all of these UFO sightings aren't increasing just by chance and because that we're now connected, because we've been connected since the late 1990s. But the fact of the matter is, they're closer now. Who's to say that things aren't being set up? The big reveal is on its way. I don't know, but I'm excited about it. I will say this, the ISS is shutting down its live feed, which I like at night. I just like watching that on the Ustream. I like watching the ISS, But why? Why all of a sudden? Why are they just shutting it down? Well, could it be that things are heading our way? Is that the reason that Pepsi did that Black Knight Decoded little piece? Little by little, we're kind of being pushed along and fed the information and being told that, hey, we told you it was coming, right? Because things are like the Google. Remember Google Earth? How they had that big black square? They had that big black square where the coordinates. We knew the coordinates where Nibiru and the system would be, but it was missing. Guess what? It's not missing anymore. Why is that? Most likely because soon they're not going to be able to hide it anymore. The fact is, from what I've researched and understood, we're not going to really know that these planets, I should say, are here until they're right on top of us, because it just doesn't reflect light and all that red iron oxide, all that garbage that's been traveling with it. For NASA to say that, they're not interested is kind of peculiar, considering that they've launched every single probe into that direction. And the thing that I find most fascinating is that this new planet that has life, that's our new neighbor, right? This Earth 2 that they're about to call it, that the unnamed source came out and told us about. Well, because it was reported in that German Der Spiegel, I guess is the name of the paper or the article. The article was in a magazine. But I got to tell you something. You know where? I mean, it's right there in Proxima Centauri, which is exactly where they said Nibiru would be. Is that a coincidence? Now, for those people that like to comment and like to say, oh, we'll put on your tinfoil hat, which I still don't understand that whole tinfoil hat thing. Look, in a court of law, the evidence is there. There's a reason that the governments of the world are working together. There's a reason that billions of dollars are being shoved towards things like the seed bank and these underground cities, and not to mention these new programs to redirect asteroids. Oh, my goodness. I mean, this tilted orbit of Nico. I mean, it's crazy because that's what Nibiru is supposed to have, a tilted orbit. How can anyone say anymore that anyone that says that there is there are ancient aliens, that there is more to the story than we've been told. How can anyone in their right mind say that it's not a possibility when there is more evidence now than ever before that it is a possibility, and most likely coming towards us real soon? So I'm excited, because my journey with all this started with just a lot of crazy information that just kind of downloaded to me, and a lot of coincidences that I was somehow linked to this planet Nibiru, and dreams out of the blue. I didn't believe in any of this stuff, people. But if you've known me for a while, you know that I love to research, and I've just been devouring this subject. And I gotta tell you, there is more evidence out there that this system exists than not. So, if people give you a hard time, don't tell them about it. Just know that you're not alone. Jacob's right here, and I love you, and I thank you for taking the time to listen to me rant and rave about this amazing astronomical event that is headed our way. I love you all. Please do subscribe, share this video, get it out there if it helped somebody, and have the best day ever. I love you. Bye-bye. Today I want to talk to you about NASA's New Horizon mission, which has been extended. Which I think is awesome. It was sent out to go to, basically study Pluto.
The New Horizons spacecraft, which flew by Pluto in July 2015, will be doing another flyby of an object in the Kuiper Belt.
It's interesting because I often talk about these little breadcrumbs, this how I'm inspired to look into things, and this was one of them. I stumbled upon this, this wonderful article about this, New Horizons mission, and how, they're going to make the most out of it.
During the flyby, New Horizons will gather photos and data of MU-69, just like it did of Pluto. But that's not the only object the spacecraft will be studying during the extended mission. They
sent this, the New Horizons, they sent it out to study Pluto. And it's been traveling for some time, and now that it's there, they've now extended the mission. And what are they going to study? We're going to study a lot of other things in the Kuiper Belt.
That includes studying the dwarf planet Eris, the second largest object in the Kuiper Belt. New Horizons will also be passing through the densest part of the belt, coming within 10 million miles of other nearby objects.
Now that's what this is all about. It's about Eris, because when I was reading this awesome post on the NASA website, I was really struck by this one little quote that the head guy had said. If you know anything about Eris, a lot of people have called it Nibiru as well, and Planet X and Planet 7X and Nibiru and Hercopolis, or there's so many names for this. Well, Eris is another one of these names, and interesting enough, Eris is like a goddess of chaos and destruction, and check it out. You'll notice that Eris is also pictured with the wings. Well, Eris, this orbital planet, is also much like Nibiru. It has a interesting orbit that is, swinging possibly towards us. Although, as I dug into the research, I couldn't find anywhere that said that it was heading towards us, Actually, what I found was it said that it is like, they call it like the 10th planet. Like it's so far away from the sun and it's farther out, past Pluto. But what's interesting about that, while they're taking all these pictures and they're collecting all this data, they also make a point in their video to, mention Eris.
That includes studying the dwarf planet Eris, the second largest object in the Kuiper Belt. New Horizons will also be passing through the densest part of the belt, coming within 10 million miles of other nearby objects.
Now it's interesting, that they pointed this out, and they made a point of showing you even that red planet, right, or that dwarf star or whatever it is. They made a point of talking about it, and they made a point of saying that they're going to study it. Now, everything that I read about Eris says that it is very, very far away. It's past Pluto, right? But what's interesting about this? Now, this is where, you gotta really shake your head and say, wait a minute, we're not being told the whole story. In this little article that I read on the NASA website, the head guy says that we're gonna even be able to capture pictures and collect data on Eris, and it talks about what Eris is. But this is the interesting thing. It says, although we'll be farther away than if we were on Earth. In other words, Eris is now closer to Earth than the New Horizons mission. I thought that Eris was so far away. And the New Horizons, the craft it's going to be right there. It doesn't make any sense for him to say such a thing, unless, of course, Eris is on its way. Could Eris be Nibiru? Is that what's going on? Let me tell you a little bit about this, this crossing planet, this planet that is pictured always as a cross and with wings. And well, everywhere you look, I mean, this is not, a lot of people say that Nibiru isn't real, but all you have to do is do a little bit of research and you'll find that there is plenty of evidence that there is some kind of a planet that looks like a cross that has made an orbit here before. And I'm not just talking about Sitchin and the Sumerian tablets. I'm talking about, etchings, cave etchings. I'm talking about lots of artifacts that are found. Now, what's interesting is what's going on around the world with all of the flooding and all of the earthquakes, and that we are just in such a crazy, crazy time. don't know if any of you have paid attention to what's going on with, the weather, but we've reached a point that is just incredibly disastrous. Something about jet streams passing the equator, and that spells absolute destruction and disaster for this planet. Why am I saying all this? Well, once again, none of this would be happening if it was just simply anthropogenic, if it was just simply, man-made, carbon footprint. It only makes sense that something is heading our way. There's actually a book that was written about Eris causing global climate change. I found that interesting, and I also found interesting this really remarkable astronomer who's incredibly well respected in the field, talking about how Nibiru is coming. Now, he didn't use the word Nibiru, he used Hercopolis, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I think that if you're into Nibiru and you're into these things, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Que lo que se verá es Marte o cualquier otro planeta, pero en realidad es el Hercólogos. ¿Qué consecuencias sobre nuestro planeta?
Los más terroríficas.
It goes by many names. And I just thought to myself, well, it would be confusing if it went by all these names, because how do you really keep track? I mean, we know Nibiru is the name that we all know. Could Nibiru be Eris? Is Eris heading towards us? Is that why NASA made a point of saying in their video that they're going to be studying Eris?
That includes studying the dwarf planet Eris, the second largest object in the Kuiper Belt.
Is that the reason? You know why? Because when things get closer to the point where things are visible in the sky, and yes, right now, some people are saying that it is, but you really do, from what I understand in my research, you really do need to have just fantastic equipment, telescopes, and all of that to really see what's going on. But in a couple of years, that's not going to be the case. I mean, I don't think that any of this is going to happen, within the next 6 months. I think that this is going to happen, and we have some time. And I think that this time is for us all to get the word out and to prepare. And I don't mean prepare like live in fear. I mean prepare like start to really get your house in order, start to really live your life, because this doesn't necessarily spell disaster and doom for us all. What it does say is that we're headed for a new day, and that new day could be on the tails of Eris coming towards us. When you look at what that lead NASA guy had said, the guy who's in charge, when he said that it'd be easier to take the pictures from Earth because Eris is closer to the Earth right now than Pluto, that's a dead giveaway that they have been lying to us. And they haven't told us that Eris is headed our way. It's a mess, people. And they slide that little thing in. It was almost like like when I read it, I was struck within my heart, because I said, hang on a second. I thought Eris was farther away than Pluto, and if the New Horizon craft is right there at Pluto, wouldn't it be close? Well, not according to the head guy. The head guy says that it'd be easier and closer if we were taking the pictures from Earth itself. We're being lied to, blatantly and openly lied to. We're not being told the truth, and I get it, I understand. You don't want chaos, you don't want people to go crazy, we don't want cats and dogs living together. We want peace, right? Well, we need to be given more credit than that. We need to come together as a people, and we need to put our faith in more than what they're telling us to put our faith in. We need to seek. We need to ask questions, because there is such devastating climate change right now. There is such devastating fish kills, and I mean, we're seeing fish kills on a regular basis. I mean, animals are dying off in the thousands and hundreds of thousands, and not to mention the massive flooding, which, by the way, for years, people that talked about Nibiru said this is exactly what would happen if an extraplanetary system comes into our solar system. And according to this head guy, it sounds like it already is. And that's frightening, because nobody's talking about it. There are a lot of crazy things going on. I mean, did you see even the pictures of Jupiter? What the heck? There is so much to talk about. My last video was on the Mandela effect, and I have to tell you something. It's, you can say what you want. Either, millions and millions of us just have completely, had spouts of like terrible memory and we've remembered everything wrong, or things have like legitimately changed. Dimensions are blending into dimensions. Who is to say that the powers that be know what's coming? And this has been their call to action. I mean, why else are they allowing them to open up black holes? Yeah, no, I get it. They're, finding interesting things, like they just found an interesting tetraquark, and they're trying to discover dark matter, and they're opening new dimensions and trying to figure out the time travel. I get it all, But could that be their marching orders? Is that the reason? Is all of this happening because the powers that be are trying to somehow, play God and save this world corrupt system? This corrupt system that is built on lies. This corrupt system that is run by people who are immoral and bankrupt. This system which is controlled. This system which tells families to break up and tells children to buy the latest video game and kill the enemy. This system which focuses everything on money and greed and nothing to do with compassion. This system which tells you it's a dog-eat-dog world. Step up to the plate and have your dinner. This system which says if you don't want to go along with us, well, we're just going to go to war. This system that flagrantly and terribly violates every single type of human rights law and lies to us and feeds us every reality show and every celebrity selfie and nude picture to keep us focused and entertained and dumb. This system that is corrupt to the very core. They're trying to keep it in place. They're trying to keep it from falling apart. The bottom line is I'm excited because a new day is coming. There will be peace. There will be hope. Everything in your life is working together for the good of those that love God. And let me tell you something. I want to point a couple of things out. I'm into conspiracy, right? I got it. People can say I'm a conspiracy guy. But a lot of people too that are even watching these videos, they pointed out this the little cube. It's a picture of my wife and I. My mother got it for me, and I thought it was really sweet. And so I like to put it there because it's like putting my wife and I in this video together. I am a man of God. I'm a man of faith. And if you know anything about my earlier work, just go to my website, jacobisrael.com. You know, just read my novel. It's available now. You'll see. Judge the tree by its fruit. Don't put things where you want them to be. Because when we judge other people, what we're doing is we're really projecting our heart onto them. And I'm just a man that wants to share, and I'm a man that has a passion. I want to see the world change in a better way. So the cube, it's just my wife and I. The clock, I know it stopped. It's on 11:11. I get that. You know why? Because when I was younger, I saw 11:11 everywhere, and I felt like it was a wake-up call, you know, and there's an 11:11 phenomenon everywhere else. So I kind of liked that it stopped on 11:11 because I think it's time for us all to wake up, you know. And the oil painting behind me was something we saw at and we just picked it up. I don't know who the artist is. The elephant behind me, this is my nanny. My nanny, she, my mother was a teenage mom. She was, you know, young. I lived with my nanny from my grandmother. She loved elephants. She had them everywhere. So I have that right there. And that's me. And, you know, and I talk with my hands because I'm Italian. People keep asking me, are you Jewish? The name is God-given. It's my name. And I am not Jewish. You know, I keep telling people I'm Italian-Irish. That's my heritage. And I talk with my hands because everybody talks with their hands. And please don't read into it. And if I do something, you know, by accident, please understand that it is not because I'm involved in some nonsense, especially if I'm doing videos to expose the nonsense, all right? So anyway, thank you for subscribing. Please do tell everybody about it. And check out my novel. The link is it's in the little comment section, and click on it. Buy a copy today. I love you all. Talk to you soon. People that have their faith in more than what the media tells you. I'd like to say to all you, because today Planet X is almost legitimized. That's what we're going to talk about, because within the last couple of days, some interesting research has proven such. Even CNN is commenting on this. But we have a lot to get to. I mean, a lot to get through. There are a lot of little points that I've kind of put together, little breadcrumbs that have been thrown my way, and I've been stringing them together. And I got to tell you something. When you put it all together, there's no other explanation to be found than these are exciting times. Not times to be scared, because fear is the enemy. In any event, we're going to have some fun. So buckle up, as they said about planet Nibiru when they discovered it, because everything's about to change. Now, I had planned all week about talking about the internet, how the U.S. is giving it over to the UN's control, ICANN. If you know anything about this, it's kind of spooky. I know a lot of people are talking about how everything's going to be censored now. The bottom line is, the internet being handed over is news, and you should do the research and look into it, because it's about to happen. I mean, we're talking it probably already is happening as we speak. But this morning when I was researching, I found some more information that, man, it just lit me up. It was almost like it was sent to me. When I started talking about Nibiru, and I started sharing how I had been inspired through just a bunch of coincidence and strange dreams to look into it, and after looking into it for a while, I finally said, you know what, I'm an educated person, and you can't help but question, are we being told everything? And when I started questioning, I found out, you know, we're probably not being told everything. And the footage that I'm going to show you later in the program, not just about Planet X now being legitimized, not just about a possible binary system that we're already in. You know, that sun nemesis that everybody said we were nuts to think about. Well, it turns out we may indeed be in part of a binary system. We're not going to just talk about that. We're also going to talk about some interesting footage that appeared up on Sechi. Sechi H1A, I think is the name of it. And it is freaky. Into this, okay? Because this was it's the title of it is the hunt for Planet 9 reveals. So much for nobody looking for Planet 9 because, oh, it's not out there, right? Well, they've been looking. It's been going on for a long time, and in their search for it, you know, within the last year or so, one, you know, dwarf planet after another is found. And when I first put a video out there about this, they said that it was preposterous. But then it was like within weeks that these discoveries they started coming forward. And now this one is the big one. Let me just read a little bit of this, because this was posted on August 29th, 2016. In the race to discover a proposed 9th planet in our solar system, Carnegie's Scott Shepard and Chadwick Trujillo of the Northern Arizona University have observed several never-before-seen objects in the extreme distances from our sun in our solar system. Shepard and Trujillo have now submitted their latest discoveries, okay? Now, why this is important was, as they were finding one after the other, they realized that if they found more, that this had to be part of a greater system. Because Biden, which they found in, 2014, the discovery of 2012 VP113, nicknamed Biden, which means two or two-tooth. It has its most distant orbit in our solar system. At this time, Shepard and Trujillo also noticed that a handful known of extreme trans-Neptunian objects all clustered together with a similar orbital path. Now, the irony is this elliptical orbit that you're going to find that is proposed of Nibiru, Planet X, Planet 9. This is now like science fact. So you can't say it doesn't exist anymore, people. Now, these are trans-Neptunian objects. What that means is their orbit, basically they orbit around the sun outside of Neptune. So yeah, it's far away. I get that. Yeah, I never said that Nibiru was going to come crashing into us. No, that's never been what I've said. I've always said that once it enters into our solar system, we may have some problems. And as it's getting closer, we're already experiencing it. Global flooding, drought, global heat like never before. This is the thing that is troubling, because we've realized that it's all caused by this incoming system. If, they say if, it actually exists. The more objects that are found at extreme distances, the better the chance of constraining the location. Okay, so what they're doing is they're looking, Shepard is looking for this Planet 9. They want to track it down. And they got a great little video that they just put out. Just take a look.
Thousands of years ago, the skygazers of the classical world knew about 6 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Thanks to the invention of the telescope, Uranus was discovered in 1781. But discrepancies in its orbit meant that something was tugging at it, Sure enough, that something turned out to be Neptune. Ever since, scientists have wondered if there might be yet another planet in our solar system, sometimes called Planet X. Now, astronomers have strong evidence for one. A planet roughly the size of Neptune, with a mass 10 times the Earth's, and a thick atmosphere of hydrogen and helium. Just as Neptune was predicted based on its influence on Uranus, the evidence for Planet X is indirect. Astronomers observe 6 small solar system objects and notice they come closest to the Sun in a unique configuration. There's only a 1 in 15,000 chance that this orbital clustering is a coincidence. It is much more likely that Planet X has shepherded the 6 objects into their orbits. This explodes our conception of the solar system, because Planet X would loop around the Sun unimaginably far away in a strange elliptical orbit, so far away that it takes 15,000 years to make the trip. By comparison, Neptune's orbital period is 165 years. Of course, not everyone will be convinced of Planet X until we have visual proof. Researchers are now using one of the world's largest telescopes, Nibiru, in Hawaii, and they say they have a reasonable chance of finding Planet X in the next 5 years. Once spotted, we can welcome Planet X as the 9th planet in our solar system.
Now, they say the orbit is 15,000 years. Sitchin says it's 36,000. But this is the thing that is really important, is this thing is massive. They're saying that it's more than 15 times the mass of Earth. And that's what's sort of troubling, because you got to understand gravity. When something massive comes in, it messes up everything else. Now, when I began talking about this, I was criticized, and I'm sure many of you that are watching today, you should feel a little bit legitimized, because, I mean, is anybody going to say to Shepard, are they going to say, where's your tinfoil hat? No, they're not going to say that, because he's, a very well-respected astronomer. Me, on the other hand, I'm just some guy that comes to you and talks. So when this thing comes into, our solar system, because of its mass, there's a couple of things that are troubling. And one of them is the fact that as it's moving through the Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud, all of these comets and asteroids that are hanging out there, well, it's gravity kind of catapults them and repulses them. And a lot of them can be sent our way. And that's what's troubling. And that's why NASA's not coming out and saying anything. And that's why bunkers are being built. And that's why you have the Doomsday Seed Vault. That's why Russia is pointing their nukes toward the sky for asteroids. That's why NASA has the Asteroid Redirection Mission. This is because the world is getting together. The leaders and those that are in charge, they know that something is heading our way. They know it. They've known it for a long time. They can't tell you about it because you'll stop paying your bills, right? So they keep us in the dark. Now, I'm not going to get into the conspiracy of all the astronomers that have coincidentally died on their way to telling more people about this. But I think that the news is trickling out so fast right now that we don't even really have to worry about that, because I think soon we're going to actually be told, that there is a Planet 9, and we're going to be told that its orbit will bring it into our solar system without a shadow of a doubt. We may not be told that this could spell, some trouble for all of us, but we may be told very soon. Now, they even have this thing called Asteroid Day. I mean, Asteroid Day. Everybody gets together and they talk about it. Well, this planet 9, is also said to be responsible for the tilting of our solar system. As well as shepherding many of our planets into our solar system. So when Planet 9 and this system came around last time, some of the planets that were actually attached to it, they probably kind of got sucked into the gravitation of our sun and has stuck around. That's what they're basically theorizing. The big thing is the discovery of Nibiru a couple of weeks ago. Now, I did a video about this because there was something about the fact that it was in a retrograde orbit. They said that it was orbiting backwards. It wasn't operating like a normal planet. That's why they called it Nibiru, because it was rebellious. Well, now that backwards elliptical orbit makes plenty of sense, especially if it's attached to another star. Codename Nemesis. Would make all the sense in the world, because our younger sun, which has planets orbiting in a prograde motion and a couple on the outer side operating in a retrograde motion, well, they would be orbiting a different way than the older star, which is orbiting opposite, if you will. Which makes plenty of sense. As it gets closer, then you have these, these little dwarf planets like Nibiru, and we have this in Biden, and we have all of these others that have been discovered, all operating together in this small cluster, and they know that it's attached to this one massive planet, Planet 9, which is what they're trying to track down. Now, a lot of people, they worry about Nibiru colliding, and I said this earlier, and I get a lot of comments from people, and I really would love to be able to respond to everybody, and I do try. And if I don't get back to you, please do forgive me, because I love all of you, and I'm so grateful that you all take the time to just watch this, and especially the ones that take the time to encourage me. It means so much to me. But I do get some emails, from even young adults that are nervous. They're scared, and every one of these videos that I share, I know that there's a part of it that is disturbing, and I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that there was part of me that was troubled a little bit. But I have this crazy faith, and this faith that everything is kind of going according to plan, and I'm not too worried about the world coming to an end anytime soon. I'm not worried about that, but I do believe great change is coming, and I'm excited about that, and I want you to be excited about that too. Super excited, especially since SETI, which I believe ties into this whole thing, because as this system is coming in, so comes a signal from outer space. And what I think is fascinating about this is that they say that this signal had to come from a species that is far more advanced than us. They actually brought up the Dyson sphere, as basically pulling off the energy of another sun to send this message. That would make a lot of sense, especially if the Anunnaki are real. Could it be that they're sending us a little message saying, hey, we're on our way, and we'll get the gold ready? If you don't know anything about the Sumerian legend, you can look it up. Just Google it. Google the Anunnaki. But I do find it fascinating that even just was it last week or the week before? there was some interesting footage found at Secchi, and it almost looks like, you know, the I think it's called the Stargate mission, where they're proposing basically creating this huge solar shield that basically catapult a craft through intergalactic travel. This is something that's been proposed. Well, basically, when you're looking at this Secchi video, man, if it doesn't look like some kind of a sail is opening up, heading our way near Pluto, because that's where it was caught. If it doesn't look like some kind of a sail or a shield is opening up, I don't know what it looks like. But I'm telling you, you cannot tell me that that is some anomaly. That is something very, very, very intricate in design, and just take a look. I mean, you tell me after watching that. You tell me. I mean, does that look like there is something going on in the outer reaches of our solar system? It does to me. You tell me. The fact that SETI right now is receiving signals, and you watch, by the way, in the next coming days, you see how the news media will say, oh, it's just some kind of technical interference. Because, you know, this information, it was leaked. It wasn't supposed to get out to the public, so SETI was scrambling, like, how do we deal with this? So what they're doing is, little by little, they're going to start putting out information. They're going to start saying things like, oh, you know, it was a transmission interference, or it really is an extraterrestrial life, so don't worry about it. They're going to do everything they can to, you know, button this up. But why aren't they reporting on it? You know, why isn't the news media showing us that footage from Secchi, huh? Why aren't they making a bigger deal about the findings of Planet 9? I mean, they're saying that it's like 75%, that the chance is like 75% that it's actually there, because it's the only thing that makes sense. And they're even saying that they're going to probably discover it within the next 5 years. People, it's been written about. It was documented long, long before we came here. The truth will set us free. And we'll never know the truth if we're not asking for it. Seeking, you find. You knocking, the door is open for you. Not enough people are questioning. Not enough people are opening their mouths and saying, teach me the truth no matter what the cost. If you ask for it, you'll find it. And if you seek it, you'll find it. But if you just sit around and you just listen to what everybody else is telling you, you're going to end up doing what most people do, and that is going through your life blind and ignorant, like sheep led to the slaughter. I, for one, I would rather be a shepherd, much like this Planet 9 system, which they say is shepherding in planets into our own solar system, right? And the irony is that being a part of a binary system, well, especially on a huge elliptical orbit, well, it wreaks havoc on the planetary systems involved. It really does. I mean, we are talking some collisions. We may not see that, of course, but it does beg the question, is this what happened with Tiamat? Now, if you don't know anything about Tiamat, well, it was said to be a planet and also a goddess that was torn into two. Look into Tiamat. It was funny, I woke up about 2 weeks ago with that word in my head, and I didn't even know why. So I said, well, what is Tiamat? And I started Googling it. I started looking it up. And I know a lot of you who've been into Nibiru for years and have been studying this for years, I know that you know this, and I know that I'm new to this, but I'm telling you, I think it's fascinating that that word was in my head in a dream, and I woke up and I looked it up, and there it is, Tiamat. All right, look it up yourself. Sechi, the footage that we just saw, SETI, looking for where that alien transmission came from, and Shepherd, right? Isn't that interesting? That the astronomer's name is Shepherd. Planet 9, is it real? Well, kind of looks like it is. Kind of looks like it is. And it does kind of explain everything that all of us are going through. This world is, whoa! I'll tell you, exciting times, people. And this news should be shared. So do me a favor and tell a friend about it. You know, share this video if you want. I don't mind. I love it. I love it. Press subscribe if you haven't already. That would mean the world to me, because every week I'm going to try to come to you with some new exciting information to share. I really do love you all. And I really am grateful for all of you that have kind of come with me on this journey. And I am so excited to see what comes of it. And I don't want you all to be scared. I really don't want you to operate in fear. I want you to operate in faith. Believe you're going to wake up tomorrow, but believe that tomorrow is going to be a better day than it's ever been before. If you believe it, you receive it, because our perception does indeed become our reality. There's a belief that we actually can co-create, because we've been endued upon high, that everything was created through the Son of God, the Son of Man, and that we are the children of God, and that we create. That's an interesting thing to think about, huh? Well, I love you all. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I don't know, just have the best day ever. I'll talk to you soon.